This is the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less. Ever wish you could re-listen to your favorite interview or segment? Do you enjoy hearing older shows for the first time in years? Then the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less is just what you need. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show.
That's right. This is the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less, and I'm your host, John Solberg. Today's episode is being brought to you by The Butcher Shop. Purveyors of highly sought after 100% Australian non-crossbred Wailara 9 Plus briskets, and as always, they are handpicked just for you. The Butcher Shop has been retailing the finest meats for the past 15 years. Every week, they're shipping out competition quality meats to many of the biggest teams in the competition scene across the nation. Simply put, teams who use the Butcher Shop win, and they win often. So you're not a competitor, but you still have an eye for the finer cuts? Great news, the Butcher Shop is shipping some of the finest prime, dry-aged Australian Wagyu and Japanese Wagyu steaks to people just like you and me who aspire to be the kings and queens of their cul-de-sacs. The Butcher Shop always has Berkshire, Compart Duroc, Allegiance Duroc, and Prairie Fresh all-natural pork in stock, and again, always hand-picked just for you. Now you might be saying, John, all that sounds great, but what about some exotic stuff? Rest easy knowing the Butcher Shop will get your next elk steak or camel roast, and they're going to ship it out promptly. So let's review. The best competition briskets, check. The best pork selection, check. Giving you better overall options to cook at home, check. So give the Butcher Shop a call today, 850-458-8782. That's 850-458-8782. Be sure that you mention the Barbecue Central show, and they're going to give you 10% off your entire order each and every time. You can also check them out over on Facebook, facebook.com/The Butcher Shop. Shop is spelled S-H-O-P-P-E. The Butcher Shop, home of the 100% Australian non-crossbred Wailara 9 Plus briskets. And today, this episode, let's jump on back to November the 1st in 2011. Probably one of the greatest meat conversations in the history of the entire show.
Dave Bouska joining us here on the show. Dave, quick question. When you're competing and that beef that you buy for briskets, is that Wagyu-style beef or you use something different?
Nope, I have never cooked a Wagyu brisket. I have seen a Wagyu brisket 6 times now. That's all I've ever seen them live. I don't buy into that world. Not saying I haven't had my butt beat by them several times, but I feel that I can cook a great USDA choice or prime brisket, and I can cook it to the best that meat is. I can turn it in, present it, and I can get the flavors I need right there. I don't feel that I need to step up and cook a Wagyu. I think that cooking a Wagyu, if you can cook a great brisket out of the other briskets available, that's wonderful. I think you can step up your game. But if you can't cook a normal brisket great, stepping up to that, all you're going to do is cook a real fine brisket mediocre. I don't think that's not a guaranteed win, and that's where people have perceived that I've got to buy a Wagyu brisket that's going to get me into the top 5. The brisket won't get you into the top 5. You still got to cook it.
You know, one of the things that I found interesting was, yourself, you had Mike Wozniak from QOW, you had Rod Gray from Pellet Envy. At least those two, you're still holding true to what you were saying in the past, but those two were always very staunch advocates of just taking, what's in the Sam's case or nothing better than cab, and didn't really understand what this move of foot for Wagyu was. Yes.
Don't get me started on the CAB program. That is one of the biggest jokes put out there. Don't get me started there. That is absolutely nothing but a marketing ploy. Sorry. Certified Angus Beef. Okay, Angus beef by the USDA standards is 51% of that skin has to be black. They then say that there's enough Angus bloodline that they can still call that Angus. There are several breeds of beef out there that are not Angus that can fall under the CAB program. Black Baldies, belted Galloways. There is Holstein beef that's a lot of black in them. There's some black Santa Gertrudis. There's a lot of beef that are not Angus, but according to the USDA, there's enough black on their skin that they can still say, oh, somewhere in the history of that animal, there was Angus. They can call it Angus. That doesn't mean that it was a certified Angus beef. That means the packing plant said it had enough black on the skin. So I think if you're going to buy into a program, buy into a certified Angus farm program, buy into a grading cell system program. Excel has a grading program called a Sterling Silver. And what that is they grade, they pull out the top 10% of their choice briskets and say that's the highest marbled choice we have. They sell it that way. Creekstone Briskets is the brand that I use. They're out of right here at Wichita, Kansas. Their farms are certified Angus farms. That's all they kill is from their own farms. But I don't buy into certified Angus beef programs. There's too many loopholes and it's being used, and I know the producers that are doing them. So I don't buy into that. Sorry, I'm off my soapbox.
No, not at all. I mean, would it be so it would only be true then, pardon me, if it was just 100% certified. I mean, is there an Angus cattle out there? Like
yes,
100% Angus?
Absolutely.
Oh.
There's and believe it or not, there's red Angus, there's black Angus, but the one that everybody pushes is the black Angus. It's certified Angus beef. So does that mean it's red Angus or black Angus? They predominantly go with black, but that's not the way it's wrote out. So it's hard to actually say.
All right, so let me finish the question I was going to ask you before we got this great information that I had no idea you were going to go on. When you see, two pitmasters like that who had made such advocations for just stuff that you could get off the shelf, go to now Wagyu-style briskets, are they just trying to amp it up a little more, or do you think that they're kind of falling into some of this non-realistic glorification of what this Wagyu can do?
Find out what Dave had to say over at the bbqcentralshow.com. Link in today's show notes will take you to the rest of this episode. This is referred to as the fabulous Cab Rant. It's a good one. Go check that out. Thank you so much for listening today. And until next time on the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less, I'm your host, John Solberg. I look forward to talking to you again soon.